Hi, welcome to Fiber Chats. My name is Irina, and today I want to share with you my recent travels in Switzerland. So, it was my first time working as a fiber ambassador for Rowan Tree Travel, and this trip was called Mini Woolly Wanderings in Switzerland. As the name suggests, we only had 5 full days there, but they were jam packed with action, so I have a lot of things to share with you. I was working with Sydney Morel, and I couldn't wish for a better partner in crime. We were working together on this tour, preparing different parts of it. I was mostly responsible for organizing things at Swiss Yarn Festival, and Sydney was working on making it a really wonderful, all rounded trip. So she was preparing all the logistical things and places outside of the Swiss Yarn Festival that we visited. Another thing I should mention that 8 people from my local yarn store decided to join me on this adventure. So there was a whole big group of us traveling from Boston. We left Boston on Tuesday night and arrived to Zurich on Wednesday around noontime. Drove to our hotel, and I left my suitcases at the reception and went to meet with Sydney. We met for lunch at a very cozy coffee shop and just discussed the tour and all the future travel plans. And I do hope that I get to travel with Sydney again because it was really a tremendous experience. The tour was supposed to start on Thursday very early in the morning, so we arrived a day earlier. And because there was 9 of us traveling from Boston, we made reservation to a hotel restaurant way in advance because we knew we were like a large group. So I actually managed to have 2 dinners that day. So the first one was with the unruly teachers, and the restaurant had wonderful food. We really all enjoyed it. And then I met with Sydney and Lisa Mesner, who is a friend of mine, and she's a designer from Zurich. And we went to tapas restaurant across the street and had a second dinner, if you will. And I'll tell you more about Lisa a little bit later. But the next morning we got up bright and early, had breakfast, jumped onto the bus, and went, you guessed it, to a chocolate factory, because what visit to Switzerland is complete without a touch of chocolate? So we went to Chocolarium. It's one of the factories that manufacture chocolate in Switzerland. We had the tour of the chocolate factory. I can't show you too many things from there because they ask us not to film the production for the privacy of workers. However, it was very interesting to learn about some of the chocolates they make. They have these chocolate bananas because during the Second World War there was a shortage of chocolate, so they had different fillings like nuts and bananas to make it last longer, I guess. So it was very interesting to see all different products they make. We also visited the gift store that they have, and there's tons of all kinds of different chocolates. And because it was right before Easter, there was a lot of Easter bunnies and Easter eggs and all those things. And then we crossed the border into Germany. So I know it sounds serious, but that was actually like 20 minutes drive, and we weren't stopped, we weren't asked any questions on the border, even though we brought our passports just in case, but they just waved the bus through. Right over the border there was this industrial looking building, but as we approached, we met with the owner, Dagmar. She owns the studio, and it's basically like a looks like a yarn store, but it's by invitation only. So you have to make appointment to come there. And it was a little bit of a fairy tale feeling. It's really very cozy, a lot of beautiful yarns. So we got to look through her beautiful samples, touch some yarn, and then she shared her story with us. So she was a crocheter who was trying to find some German yarn and she couldn't. And so she decided to go on the journey of figuring out why there was not too many German yarns and helping farmers to process the wool. And I'm not gonna go into too many details because I'm planning to have Dagmar on my channel and then we can go into her story in a lot of details. But the yarn was beautiful. Everybody was oohing and ahhing over the samples. I'll show you some pictures here.
Colors all over. Do they? Beautiful but neutral.
This is that one.
The travel I did, or the journey I did with the school. So my name is Dagmar, I'm 52 years old. I have a quite boring job, I would say, compensation benefits manager. I don't know if you know what it is. Yeah. So it's real a lot with numbers and numbers and numbers, but since I was a kid, I really enjoyed crochet with colors and expressing myself, also like drawing pictures. So I'm not the typical sweater knitter. I'm more on, you know, telling stories with colors. So I have my blankets and all that stuff. But here you have sweaters, of course, because most of the people really want to knit sweaters or a scarf or something like that.
A lot of people bought some yarn to take with them because she does not ship to the United States. She tries to keep the yarn local, so she only ships it within Germany and Switzerland. So a lot of people were buying yarn to take home just because it was basically the only chance for them to have that yarn. And the yarn was very special. There was a story behind each type of yarn that she manufactures. So it was very interesting to learn about it. After Chocolarium, we went for a traditional Swiss lunch at a restaurant called Rosli. And at that lunch, the food was delicious, but we also got to meet all the participants of the group. Everybody introduced themselves briefly. We got to know where they're from and what they love eating and all these things. And it just turned out to be the most wonderful group of people. We all got along. It was very interesting to meet people from all different parts of the US and just to get to know their stories. So this introduction, although it was, you know, over lunch, it really helped to create that sense of group and community. So I was very happy that that happened. We got back to the hotel tired, a little jet lagged still, but very happy and very excited about the following few days. We had dinner on our own that night, so I went with Sydney to just chat about like upcoming events and what we should do. And the next day we had to get up early because some of the participants in the group were taking classes in the morning at Swiss Yarn Festival. So we had to get there early enough so they could leave their luggage, get their bracelets for the festival and find their classrooms. So we checked in. Basically, the hotel had everything ready for us. So we checked in. I took the people who had classes to show them where the classes were. And then we met with people who weren't taking classes, and we basically walked through the floor together just to orient and like show them where everything was. This year, for the first time, the Swiss Yarn Festival was organizing meet and greets in the lobby, and it was right by the photo booth, so you could take a picture with your favorite designer and print it right there or scan a Q code. So we put this machine to a very active use, and I brought home tons of pictures with all my favorite designers. And then when the second group of people went for classes in the afternoon, I met with people who were at classes in the morning, and we sort of did it again. Like, I showed them some of my favorite vendors. I showed them where the marketplace was. We walked together through the marketplace, and it just helped everybody to get oriented and to meet some vendors, to get introduced to them, to hear the story behind them. The interesting thing about Swiss Yarn Festival is that there are a lot of vendors from different parts of Europe. So there were Spanish vendors and Greek vendors and obviously Swiss vendors and German and French and, a lot of different places. We had a booth from Ireland. So it was very interesting to see such an international mix there. One of the reasons I really wanted to have this group tour at Swiss Yarn Festival was because I went there by myself last year, and I had really great time there, meeting people, meeting new to me vendors and designers, and I wanted my friends to share this experience with me. So we stayed in Riverside Hotel, and that's where the festival is taking place. An interesting fact about it, this hotel used to be a former mill, so you can still see some of the old equipment throughout the building. But hotel has a limited number of rooms, and majority of people who are staying at the hotel are the teachers and the vendors. And our group was lucky enough to be able to stay in that hotel as well. So after hours, there is a lot of possibilities of just meeting your teacher or a vendor you love informally and chatting and getting to know them. So Friday night, we got invited to a bowling party that was organized for the vendors and the teachers. And not only you could bowl there, but they had a buffet style dinner, and you could just grab some food and sit next to a designer that you don't know and get to know them. And I did just that. I met a lot of people that I haven't met before, and you might see them soon on my channel, so stay tuned for that. But I was just so happy to see some of my old friends, introduce them to the group, have a chance for the group to talk to meet different vendors, different festival organizers, different teachers, and just to get to know them in very informal atmosphere, and then play some bowling. The next day, Saturday, majority of people were taking classes. As part of the group, every person was offered to take 2 classes. So majority of people were taking classes throughout the festival, and some people registered for more than 2 classes. So any extra classes, they just had to pay extra by themselves. Most people were taking classes on Saturday, and those who weren't, we were meeting regularly and walking through the marketplace together, or just meeting for lunch or going for meet and greets. So there was a lot of times when I would meet like few people from the group and we would do something together. There was also a quiet space at the festival, so it was nice if you get overwhelmed with all the noise of the festival. And I must say, Friday and Saturday were both very busy on the marketplace, so you could go upstairs and just sit and knit quietly. They even had earplugs, so you could sit and relax for a little bit and get away from the noise. At 5 p.m. on Saturday, we joined Pamir Fiber presentation, and Marcus, who is the owner of Pamir Fiber, was telling the story of the yarn, how they bring this cashmere from Kyrgyzstan. There were a lot of interesting slideshows, pictures that we got to see. We got to touch the cashmere that they manufacture in all different stages of this manufacturing. So that was something interesting that we could do as a group. And then we had dinner together. I invited two of my friends to join us for dinner. It was Sarah from La Cave Lane and Deborah from Penny Lane Yarns. And I just wanted the group members to have the possibility of just sitting and chatting with local vendors and getting to know them and asking questions about what it takes to prepare for a festival like this and just have a casual chat. So we also were celebrating birthday for Debbie. So we got to celebrate with her. She was one of the group members from that came with us from Boston, from the Unruly Stitch. She's one of the regulars. And she's also a YouTuber, so you can watch her version of this recap on her channel, Dreamcraft Creations. And talking about YouTubers, there was a lot of YouTubers there. So Anu from Anu's Crochet has her own YouTube channel, and Erica Field was there, and her channel is Neat Kinds. So you can watch a lot of different versions of this recap on other YouTubers from the group. We also had a lot of designers in the group, and it was very interesting for me to introduce them to some of the vendors I knew and to see some future collaborations happening. Sunday was our last day at the festival, and some people were still taking classes, but others were just going through the marketplace because marketplace was closing early at 3 p.m. that day. And so if you were strolling the marketplace on Friday and Saturday, just thinking about what you want to get, Sunday was like serious business day, and everybody was going and buying what they wanted to bring home with them. And I was one of those people, and I'll show you in a little bit some of the things I brought home with me. Another thing that I recommended to all our group members to visit was the fashion show. So Swiss Yarn Festival puts out 2 fashion shows per day. It's the same fashion show, it just repeated twice a day, every day of the festival. And it's really a beautiful show. You see a lot of future fashion ideas and trends. And it's also run by this family that everybody in this family participates in the show. So there are some professional models, but there are also some regular people, grandma, grandpa, a couple grandkids, and the son and the daughter-in-law. So it was adorable to see that family modeling some of the fashions. mentioned my friend Lisa Massner. So she invited our group on Sunday after her classes, and she must have been exhausted. I'm so grateful that she did this presentation for us. But she invited our group to her classroom after hours to show her samples, to explain her design process, to tell us a little bit about herself. And it was really lovely to see how the group members were so intrigued by her designs. Lisa is an architect in real life, and her designs are definitely inspired by all the architectural details. There's a lot of interesting lines, and she does a lot of very interesting techniques. She uses leatherback jacquard, and she does intarsia, and she teaches classes about that. So this presentation took part on Sunday after all the festival was already over, and it was just so nice that our group got to meet this local Zurich designer and see her designs, touch her samples. Her samples are just amazing. Like, you want to wear every and each one of them. And I feel like those little unplanned moments, like something that was improvisational and arranged in the last second, added so much to this tour. Like meeting Lisa and hearing her presentation was probably one of the most unforgettable experiences for the group. So Lisa, I'm so grateful that you agreed to do this, and we all really appreciated seeing your designs. In the evening, we've met for another group dinner, and it was our last group dinner, was supposed to be our last group dinner. It was a little bit bittersweet, like the complaint that I've heard the most, that this tour was too short. But that's a great complaint to have, right? It means that everybody was enjoying the tour so much. So we had our dinner, but then the next day we still had some treats that Sydney prepared for us. So Monday morning we went to this farm, and I'm probably butchering the name, but it's called Speecher Handwork. And that's the place where they manufacture these beautiful blankets, duvets with camel wool inside. So we got to see some of the animals that live on this farm. There were some camels, there were brand new born lambs and sheep and goats, and just a lot of chickens and like all kinds of animals. They had some llamas. So we got to see the animals, and then we walked through the manufacturing process. We saw the machinery there. Some of those machines are 100 years old, and it's a family-run business that's been in that family for generations. After the tour, we got to taste some traditional strudel with hot chocolate. It was absolutely delicious, and it was very warming after the, I don't know, somehow with the weather. It was really snowing and raining and snowing and raining, and it wasn't very spring-like in Switzerland. So having hot chocolate and strudel was really something that hit home just the right way. And also we got to visit the store that they have on the premises of this farm. Let me tell you, if I lived anywhere nearby, I would be spending all my time in this store. It was just incredible. They had so many different felted goods and woolen goods and different yarn and different fiber and spinning wheels, and I mean anything you can imagine, it was there. The goat milk soap, a lot of different goodies. You could get yourself merino underwear or alpaca socks. So I brought home quite a few souvenirs for my husband from that store.
Farm and everything around it. We started as a farm. Of course, not real sweaters and stuff like that. It's not fine enough. A little too low. And then it grows back for the next winter. Nice warm breeze for the winter time, and then for the summer they don't have. Yeah.
Wow.
Amounts of actual wool, and though in the winter really, they have winter fur, and you can go up. And yeah, they're very well known.
I know, I know. You want my sweater?
Hello.
Because we don't have industrial washing machines, we wash by hand, and we only wash small quantities, about 3 tons a year. Does it have machines yet? And at perfect moment, he's just putting the wool onto a frame. Our bedding is made with cotton fabric, and then wool or from sheep or from cows, from alpacas, and then another cotton fabric on top. It's hooked up to some hooks on that frame.
Yeah. This seems like it's probably a really big one.
A lot to do.
And this is the table. On the table you have both. The brown is the table, the white is the... You can both make nicely warm.
This is what you can do there.
Oh yeah, that's a very nice photo.
And then, of course, no Switzerland experience would be complete without a visit to the cheesemaking factory. So we went to this cheesemaking factory. We got a tour of the old part of the building where they told us about the way the cheese is manufactured or how it was manufactured in the old days. We saw some of the antique equipments that's still there at this factory. Then we went through the modern part of the factory, and then we had fondue lunch, and the view out of this restaurant was just incredible. And that was my very first time trying fondue. So the Russians have this belief that if you do something for the very first time, you should make a wish. So I made sure to make a wish at that fondue pot. And we had a lot of fun swirling the pieces of bread in the cheese and just watching it drip everywhere. So it was delicious. And apparently you have to have fondue with hot tea. So we had delicious hot tea there as well. And then it was the ride back to hotel. So we got back to hotel and we had another group dinner, even though it wasn't part of the tour, but we still had to spend one more night together. So a lot of us went to the restaurant for dinner together, had our last drinks, and it was just bittersweet ending to the tour. So I promised to tell you what I brought home from Swiss Yarn Festival with me. The first thing I got was this contraption, and it's basically a creation by Sarah from La Cave Elaine, and it basically holds a piece of paper or chart between the magnets, and on one hand you have the a ruler, metal ruler. On the other hand, it's just the basically like an ice cream stick, but it holds together with the magnets, and so it's easier to move the paper between those things. And it also comes with a hook and a tapestry needle and a pencil. So this kit, she just gifted it to me, and I can't wait to try it on my lace knitting charts because it seemed like such a clever idea. And then of course I had to bring some yarn home. So I was trying to be super strong, but when I saw this yarn by Trelise, I mean, I don't know, can you see the sparkle in it? So it's just fantastic. Like, I love the colors. I also love Liz's names for the colors and for the bases. So this base is called Eris, and this color is called Too Good for Sharing. You can see why you wouldn't want to share that with anybody. And it's 95% superwash merino and 5% stellina, and 100 grams, 366 meters. So I got this color, but then I also saw this color, and I thought it's gonna be so perfect for brioche. So this color called Let's Get Drunk. So I got 2 skeins of each of those colors. And then the second place where I sort of spent all my money was Atelier Edelfadden. And Michael is a brilliant yarn dyer, so he's actually colorblind, which makes him even more intriguing. I did interview him on my channel, so if you're curious about his story, go and check Atelier Edelfadden on my channel. He's also a nurse, so you know, in case of emergency, he's a good guy to know. So I saw this yarn and I thought it would make such a beautiful summer top. So it's 50% baby camel and 50% mulberry silk. So I got 3 skeins of that yarn, and I just can't wait to knit with it. It's so soft. I wish you guys could feel it. And then another very interesting base that he had that a lot of people from our group ended up buying was this. It's 64% super kid mohair, 23% silk, 10% polyton, and it's 3% 19.5 micron merino wool. And I don't know how much you can see, but it has these tiny little paillettes in it, bronze paillettes. I don't know if you can see it well, but it has this like little tiny paillettes in it. They're very small, they're very hard to spot, but I just saw this yarn and I was thinking like, wouldn't that make a most beautiful shawl? But then I thought, how about this color for a contrast color? So this is the same thing. It has this, you can see the like little paillettes in it. And I can't wait to knit with it. When we went to the farm, I bought this yarn. So this is 100% mulberry silk, and honestly it was the color, and it's lace weight yarn, so I thought it just had my name in it. For all of you who know me, you know my love of teal, and this is like my absolute favorite color, and the fact that it was lace and silk, I just had to take it home. So that was all I bought at this festival. I know I was very strong, I was very determined not to buy much, but you know, those skeins called my name. The next day we took a bus to the airport and we flew back to Boston, and I hope I get to do this tour with Sydney multiple times. I hope we can do it maybe every couple years. And if you would like to come to this tour with us, just leave a comment or tell me what your favorite part of this recap was. I also want to thank the organizers of this festival. Merit and Asita just did a tremendous job with this festival, and they made it so easy to bring the group to the festival. They helped me so much with all the little details of how to book the rooms and all these things. So I really enjoyed working with them, and I'm looking forward to continue working with them. And this year festival was bigger and better than last year, and I'm looking forward to see what it's gonna be like in the following years. My next Rowan Tree travel tour will take place in October. I'm going with Anna Turk to Uzbekistan, and it's gonna be a bit of a homecoming for me. I haven't been there since I was 16 years old, so I'm very excited to see the country and participate in all the wonderful workshops that we planned, and I can't wait for that. If you haven't yet subscribed to the Rowan Tree Travel newsletter, do so now. I'm gonna leave the link in the description of this video, because you'll get the first dibs at all the trips that they have to offer as a newsletter subscriber. And some of those trips sell out really fast. So if you're a subscriber, you're having a few days to think about it until it goes to general public. I hope you enjoyed this recap, and I hope to see you on my future travels with Rowan Tree Travel. And until next time, happy crafting!
Verlegen immer so auf die Zähne drauf bei denen, wo ich. Das ist gut, das ist perfekt.
Okay. So, Tita, how is everything?